Hello, my name's Paul Lorenz and I'm one of the co-founders of Projected Productions along with Riley McGlashan. We'd like to start by thanking you for your support in purchasing this video. A lot of time, money and effort goes into the production of these, and without your support it wouldn't be possible. We would love you to tell all of your friends about this and spread the word, but we would also ask that you encourage them to purchase their own copy. As I said, it costs a lot to produce these, and to ensure that we can continue producing these videos and improving the quality, it's important that everyone buys their own copy. So thank you very much for your support. We really hope you enjoy it and get a lot out of it.
Hi, my name is Nadine Grünenfelder and I'm from the eastern part of Switzerland. I live in Wangs, which is a tiny little village, but I work in a also little resort which is called Hintertux. It means Cheeseback Mountain. I'm 30 years old and I have a racing background. I used to race until I was 20, and after that I started instructing. So I have done my fully Swiss certification in 2009, and I am on the demo team, the Swiss snow demo team, since 2012, I think. Oh no, it's 13, sorry. Now I really hope you're gonna enjoy this video just as much as I did skiing with my great friends. So for me, a good long turn is a kind of a racing parallel turn, what means that it has to be carved as much as possible. What I want to see is, like, of course it depends if it's on the terrain, what kind of initiation the person uses, but yeah, usually we call it like a mixed pedaling initiation, and so I want to see that, and then I want to see level shoulders and counter rotation of his hip, or of the person's hips and shoulders. So the paddling I like, or it's useful because we move our center of mass better to the inside, so we get more angulation on our skis as well. And then the level shoulders and hips, they help us staying on the outside ski, so we don't produce a slide out. And the counter rotation of our upper body, this is a little more complicated to explain, but imagine a glove and you wind it. So your upper body faces down the hill, and when you release the lower part of the glove, which is our skis, they're gonna unwind and turn into the fall line, so we get some more energy into the fall line. So when I do a long turn, I feel at the initiation that my outside leg gets more and more pressure on it. So like feeling what my foot is doing and then releasing the inside leg, so that kind of bending, that's what I do. And by getting more and more pressure on the outside ski, I try to bring my hips more to the inside to work against the gravity or the energy pulling me out. Then at the end of the turn, I bend a bit so I get more, get stronger on the ski and can work against the force pulling me out of the turn. So I'm ready for the next one. Something I like to do to get a good balance on my outside ski is lifting up my inside heel or the end of my inside ski at the initiation. So that makes sure I'm not bringing in my hips too early and fall to the inside. I like to do that exercise skidded first and then carved, because I have more time thinking of what I'm doing when I skid it, and it makes me aware of my core muscles, so I have to make very sure that I'm strong there and don't do any over rotations. So if the exercise went well, that means I put my inside ski down at the steering phase 2, so just at about the end of the turn. I feel very strong in my core, so I'm not wobbly to any side. If I have to put my inside ski down earlier, that means I was to the inside with my hip or my shoulder or something too early. I don't want to lift up the whole, is because when I only lift up the end of the ski, I have to go forward. What helps me getting pressure on my shuffle of the ski, and that makes the ski work at the beginning of the turn. And then it's all right at the end of the turn if I'm like on my whole foot, and that's the moment where I put my inside ski down again, so I get the bit of a feeling of using the end of the ski as well. And then again for the new turn, I pull up the inside. It is slightly up to the bum, but not a lot. So if I'm feeling wobbly, I start pulling my belly button in, and that makes me stronger in my core, and then that's what helps a lot. Something what helps me with the counter rotation are javelin turns. So I'm gonna extend from the mountain ski, and at the time when I extend, I lift up the inside, so my outside ski, which is still in the snow, goes underneath in the fall line, so they're crossed. So by lifting up the inside leg and pointing it down the hill, I make sure that my hip is also pointing down the hill. So in the middle of the turn, which is for me the steering phase 1, I'm facing down the hill, and then at the end of the turn, where my outside ski, which is in the snow, turns slowly to the new side, my inside ski is crossed. what means my hips are still facing slightly down the hill and not over-rotating or rotating with the skis. So if the javelin turn I'm doing is working, then I feel again stable, but I feel my upper and lower body like separate, which is very important for any turns later as well. It feels like it's harder to do when it's a skidded javelin, so you need to be again stronger in your core, and it's a bit easier for myself if I can just carve it, because then I can work with the forces, and with a skidded turn I don't have as much force, so I have to work more with very little feelings in my feet and my legs. So I make sure I'm standing on the front of my foot when I steer it. So because I don't have weight at the end, I can turn easier. And then, yeah, when I carve it, I can feel the whole foot on the, like on the inside really. It's more on the whole foot I feel when I'm carving than on the skidded turn. So these are some exercises what helped me a lot with my skills. And something else I found like very interesting and exciting this week was skiing within the limit, finding where my limit is of being a stable skier, or where can I just show the best I can. Do I have to give 100%, or do I have to work maybe with 110 or with 90? And skiing with that whole group was just excellent, because everyone is such a good skier, and they push you to the limit. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something out of it, and most important, have fun and get out there and try.
Hello everybody, my name is Andreas Spettel, I'm from Austria, I'm 27 years old and I'm working for the Ski Academy in St. Christoph. Also used to instruct in New Zealand for the Sofa Ski School in Triple Cone. I'm fully certified in Austria. I've done the course in 2009. Now I'm examiner for the level 3 for the Staatliche in Austria. And yeah, I'm here now in the beautiful Hintertux and really looking forward to share my ideas with you. To me, a high performance short turn should be a combination of lots of different skills. So there is at the beginning of a good short turn, there should be early pressure phase. You want to bring your skis early onto the edges. Then afterwards you really need to make sure that you bring your upper body into a stable position, build up a strong platform where you then can quickly release and get off the edges again. So the earlier you're able to build up pressure and the earlier you're able to build up a strong platform where you can hold on, where you can have grip on the snow, the easier it makes it afterwards to release and to initiate earlier into that next turn. The dynamic movements out of ankle and knees are for me really important to improve a high performance short turn. So when I say be active with your ankle movements, I always mean open and close your movements. So go up and down. So the concentration of doing these strong movements out of the ankles really helps afterwards for the short turns, really helps to find a good rhythm. And this good rhythm and powerful rhythm then helps to bring more dynamic into the turns, helps to also bring more pressure and more rebound into the turns, which then helps again to ski the turns with more edge angle and just with more power. So when I do the first turns with my GS ski and I really try then to exaggerate that movement of going up and down in my ankle, I always concentrate on when I initiate into the turn, when I go up to stay on my toes, and then when I go down again, I really try to stay on my whole foot and try to have my shins connected with the boot. So once I'm able to opening and closing the ankles and able to do those fast movements out of my ankles, then it's just it makes it easier to be faster, to put weight on a ski, and it makes it easier to release, to get off the edge again. And the faster I can do those movements, the more I can accelerate out of each turn, and this acceleration gives me more rebound and more dynamic. And the more dynamic I can get out of each turn, the more powerful I can ski the short turns. So when I go out and want to train my ankle movements, I always grab my GS ski. I believe when you ski on a longer ski, it just makes it a bit harder to do proper short turns, but it's a really good training for your movements. So the reason why skiing short turns with a GS ski and why it makes it harder doing the turns is because the ski is longer than a slalom ski. The radius, the side cut is longer, so therefore it just makes it harder to turn the ski, and you have to move with your ankle and knees more in order to create a nice round turn shape. So at first when you go out and do your turns with your long GS ski, just try to find a good rhythm, try to find a good pressure point. After that, then you go and start and do drills with the GS ski in your short turns. The first drill, which is really good for movements, is you have your poles on the side, touching the snow, and you do little jump turns. The poles are responsible or are controlling the upper body so that you're not able to move too much up and down, so your center of mass is staying low, and then with the jump turns, from one side to the other side, you have to really make sure that you move in your ankles. So when I do those movements, with the jumping, I always focus on that. Firstly on the movements, but I still want to have. I don't want to rotate with the hip. around the turn. I still look when I do those drills, when I do the jump, I always make sure that my basic position is right, that my hip is in, that my upper body is slightly over that outside ski. Because I want to have, when I do the short turns, I want to have good pressure on the outside ski. I want to have a stable platform where I can release again, so I need that position. A good example concerning to the drill where I have my poles on the snow and where I do little jump turns would be the rope skipping, where I'm here and just do little rope skips, and here try to stay low. I don't want to be too upright, stay low, and in this low position I do little rope skippings, and that really helps. Another drill which I find really helps for improving ankle movements is a double pressure short turn. A double pressure short turn in combination with a jump turn. So you do 3 times edging, 1 time jumping off. You can practice the edge setting first stationary without skis by jumping sideways down the hill and landing on the edges. I keep my uphill ski in the air and pointing down the hill to help balance on the downhill ski and maintain a good upper body position. You can then try this stationary with skis on. Now use this same movement, leaving both skis on the ground while moving down the hill. So when we are doing this drill, I always look for a short pressure point. So I want to find this short pressure point and release again. I want to find this short pressure point and release. And after the third one, I just do a little jump to make sure that I open my ankle, switch into the next turn, and then I try to do those movements and the searching for the short pressure points again. The reason why I'm doing this drill is simply training the fast movements. Yeah? Once you will do in a short turn 3 times edging and 3 times releasing, you really have to move quickly and fast. So this is the reason why I try to do this drill. In this drill, also important is always to land on the edges. So I don't want to slide down the hill. I always land on the edge, hold on for a little bit, and then jump off again. So when you're doing this drill, always make sure that you're warmed up before you're going to do this, and always make sure that you use a slope where it's not too busy, where it's not too crowded, and use snow where it's not too aggressive doing this drill. So when you go out and train your ankle movements and you're going to do those drills, always try really to focus on your movements, make them as hard as you can, push yourself as hard as you can, and always try to find your limits. That's the way how we get better. Thank you for listening, and good luck for your short turns.
Bonjour, I'm JF Beaulieu. I'm from Mont-Saint-Anne in Quebec, Canada. I'm working as a ski school director over there for the past 10 years. I'm a CSIA Level 4, two-time Interski member. I also hold my French full certification. I work also for Rookie Academy in Mont-Saint-Anne and also in New Zealand, which is a ski instructor training company. I'd like to start by thanking Paul Lorenz and Riley McGlashan for this opportunity to join Projected Production for a second project. It's been really nice to be here in Hintertux. It's been very inspiring to ski with amazing skiers. We've had a really nice time on snow and off snow. And this project made me want to train even harder. So thanks to everybody for that. And I hope to ski with all these guys again very soon.
The first concept I've been playing with during the last year is the concept of gravity drop. The idea is to relax as I build edge angle, relax laterally versus on the vertical plane I'm staying in resistance. The idea is to use the gravity and not force the edge angle to build up. I see a lot of expert skiers trying to build edge angle, but they build a lot of tension into the legs and in the whole body. So the goal is to really relax laterally as those angles are building. This concept, it's been introduced to me by Lorne Mill. Lorne is from Vancouver. It's a rollerblade coach. So they're using a lot this concept in the way they are rollerblading, and there's a big relation with skiing. I honestly think that this is taking my skiing to the next level. This gravity drop concept will allow the external forces to build into the outside ski versus me physically trying to force the outside ski. So by relaxing and allowing the edge to build up, I'm allowing that load and those external forces to build up versus forcing them. It also allows me to get maximum propulsion out of the turn, and being supple in the articulation, it helps me to manipulate my line, speed and direction much more effectively.
I gravity drop by using the inside ski as the decider and the outside ski as the rider. So basically I am pulling the angle with the little toe edge of my inside ski. The inside ski will be responsible for the angle and direction while staying balanced on the outside ski and receiving the pressure from the mountain. I see too much people forcing the big toe edge when they want to increase the angle. This will very often, if I push on that big toe edge as I roll the ski to the side, that will push the center of mass towards the inside of the turn, and I'll lose support on that outside ski. Versus by using a little bit more the inside ski to control the edge increase, you're going to be able to increase the edge angle while remaining balanced over the outside ski much better. The outside ski is going to stay underneath you versus you moving too far to the inside. So once I've played with this concept a little bit more, I've been playing a little bit with the acceleration of the free fall on the edges. Like when I was introduced to the concept, I was a little bit more progressive with it. And then once you've played with it a little bit more, you end up gravity dropping on the edges, free falling on those edges, being supple laterally, but I'm accelerating a little bit that free fall on the edges. This will give me more performance, more propulsion, as a result of increasing the edge angle with a little bit more speed as I progress into the turn. To gravity drop effectively, let's say I start from neutral. Both of my legs have the same length. They support my body. And basically, I'm making the inside leg a little bit more supple. I pull the inside leg towards me, making it a little bit shorter. This will initiate the edge angle. And then it's the speed at which I do it that will control how fast the ski will roll on the edges. So basically, as I get that inside leg shorter, I tilt on the little toe edge. The key is to do this while staying balanced on the outside. I don't want that upper body to be involved too much into the action. The lower body free falls, is gravity dropping, while I stay balanced on that outside ski. There's a certain window of opportunity when it comes to increasing the edge angle. What I like to do is to start a little bit smoother, a little bit slower, and I'll pick up the intensity at which I'm gravity dropping when I'm sure that I have a good connection and support on the outside ski. Ultimately, that motion, that relaxation towards the inside will improve my balance on the outside. If I'm forcing the big toe edge as I increase the edge, I'm automatically going to fall to the inside and lose the support on the outside ski. So you really want to have the lower body free falling a little bit faster than the upper body to create that connection on the outside ski. So a good example is if I am traveling on a swing set, even if I'm pulling on those chains while I am at the highest, this won't give me the acceleration I'm looking for. The idea is just to be a little bit more patient and trying to work in the window of opportunity. As I get closer to the ground, if I pull on those chains, I'll get my height. So if I relate this concept to skiing, if you work too hard too soon, you risk losing the support and you won't get the propulsion you're after. Once I start feeling the balance building up on the arch of my foot, this is the moment where I start to pick up my gravity drop and pick up the intensity at which I roll on the edges. For my long turns, one drill I've been playing with a lot last season with the students is skating. And what skating taught me is to make sure that I'm using the propulsion of the previous turn to balance on my next outside ski versus using the propulsion to throw my body to the inside and try to turn. So the key is, as I get that propulsion out of the previous turn, I want to glide on that little toe edge, on the uphill edge of my inside ski, in order to build some balance. If I'm doing this well, I will start my gravity drop with a good connection on the outside ski, and I'll start gravity dropping from a true neutral with a solid foundation. If I'm gravity dropping with no support on the outside ski, I'm basically inclining. It's not going to give you the propulsion you're after. I've had a really great discussion with Tom Gelly at the start of last season in Canada, and like Tom was explaining a little bit how to balance properly, and one of the components was you want to balance on the outside part of your foot first in order to create a good foundation with your outside foot. So the idea is when I'm skating, as I benefit from that propulsion, I'm gliding on the outside part of my foot, on the outside part of my little toe edge, and I'm just going to allow that pronation to happen nice and naturally. Some important points Tom was talking about is making sure the foot articulation is very supple. And the idea is, Tom was saying we have 29 bones in the foot. If you do balance on the outside part of your foot towards the inside, it will create some expansion, and it will create those bones are kind of expanding and creating a really strong platform. If I have tension in my foot, or if I try to force that big toe edge too quick, I don't get that foot expanding, I don't have as much of a good foundation. This will affect all the articulation up top. So balancing on the outside part of your foot, glide on the little toe edge and allow that pronation to happen nice and smoothly. The second drill I've been using for my long turns with the clients, I'm using a lot of drift turns. The idea behind this is to really start my gravity drop from a true neutral. That drift makes sure that you're balancing properly on the ski before you're relaxing and free falling on those edges. So the drift can be a little bit shorter versus a little bit longer, but the key is if I'm starting to gravity drop with a good foundation, for sure I'll be able to power the turn better, to manipulate my direction, line and speed, and I'll benefit from better propulsion if I start with a good connection on the outside ski. Another key point in those drift turns is during the drift, I'm feeling a little bit lighter on the outside ski, and then I'll use the concept of the inside ski being the decider inside ski being the decider, outside ski being the rider. So when it's time to tilt the ski on the side after that drift, I'm just basically pulling on the inside half of my body, making my inside leg shorter, and I pull the angle with that little toe edge of the inside ski to create my direction and give me a better angle. For short turns, one of the drill I'm using very often is a hockey stop. And for sure, to connect with the team we're talking about, it becomes a gravity drop hockey stop. So the idea is, again, I control the angle in my hockey stop with the tilting of my little toe edge of the inside ski, and I try just to stay balanced and ride that outside ski. So very often I see some people forcing the edge in the hockey stop. So one of the most important elements is to develop some suppleness as you're developing the angle, using the inside ski as the decider, the outside ski as the rider. To work on those elements, the second drill I'm using with the short turns, it's a garland turn. And basically, again, in those garlands, I'm trying to gain some edge angle by relaxing. I really try to make my inside leg shorter as I tilt the little toe edge, and making sure that this will improve my balance and connection on the outside ski. So the key points in the garland is controlling the edge increase with that little toe edge of your inside ski. And for sure, the second point is to remain aligned. So if, for example, you're doing a garland with not enough ankle knee, try with a wider stance in order to unlock that lower body. Or if you see there's hip rotation in the garlands, try a bit narrower in order to unlock the hip laterally. The goal is to implicate ankle, knees, and hips towards the inside with a little bit more you want all the articulations to be involved in this gravity drop. If one articulation is blocked, as we talked about, playing with the width of the stance can help unlocking a certain articulation. Those are the concepts I've been playing with over the last year. I hope they help with your training, and I hope to ski with you soon.
For me, a good short turn has to be in a parallel ski position and needs a nice rhythm from top till bottom. Should be about the same. And then I'd like to see the steering phases of the turn. So I want to see initiation, a fall line for a short moment, and then a nice closing of the turn. All that should be as carved as possible, but of course that all depends on the terrain. And if then the upper body is nice and still and stable, that I like a lot. What I try to do is carving, so I try not to twist or turn my feet too much, so I get into skidding. But of course it depends. If it's quite steep, I have to do that at least a little bit to take speed out. And but to be able to do this well, like carving from top till bottom, for my personal goal or reason, I have to start a little less than 100%. Yeah, and that works usually quite well. The reason why I start short turns with 80% is it's always easier to build up speed, pressure or energy than the other way around. So when I do my short turns, what I feel with my outside and inside ski is always like that pedaling feeling. I try to feel as early as possible the pressure on my outside ski, so I know I have to release my inside leg and bend it, and that gives me that nice left and right movement. So pedaling actually is, you can imagine riding a bike. When one of your feet goes down with the pedal, the other one automatically goes up. And that's what happens from one turn to the other. So the pedaling allows me, by bending my inside leg, it allows me to bring my hips and my upper body further into the turn, and that creates more angle on my skis. And an exercise what helps with the pedaling is jumping from outside ski to outside ski. Helps me with balancing on my outside leg and also bending my inside. My goal is to land on the outside and then twist the foot a little bit so I can get more angulation and actually carve at the end of the turn before I jump into the next turn on my outside leg. As you get more comfortable with this exercise, you can also try landing directly on the edge, so without twisting too much of your feet, and get into the next turn on the edge straight away. On my outside ski, what I feel is at the beginning of the turn, I feel the front of my foot, and then in the fall line, it's about the whole foot or the arch, and then at the end of the turn, I can feel my heel. So for the new turn, I have to move forward again to get my pressure on the front of my foot, and then do the same all over again. A good thing to help me with this is the dolphin turn. So you can imagine the dolphin turn, I start explaining from the end of the turn. So there I go onto my heels and give like a little kick to my heels. So my calf goes towards my boot, what makes my shuffle, the front of my skis, getting out of the snow. So I'm like having pressure, a lot of pressure on the back of my skis, and I'm getting into the air. So at the beginning of the new turn, I try to bring my whole body forward, so I'm able to bring my shuffle and my tips down to land first. And as my tips touch the ground, in the fall line, I try to find the pressure on my whole foot again, so my whole ski is in the snow before I start the movement over my heel and my end of the skis again. One very important thing here is the core muscles. If you start like moving too much with the upper body, it's gonna be hard to do that exercise properly. So you got to be facing down the hill and you have to be strong in your core. The easiest to start this exercise is skiing across the hill and only do that movement of a dolphin, like going on your heel, getting those tips up and then landing on the tips again. Important is to focus that also here is the upper body nicely forward, so you can actually bring your tips into the snow again without leaning too much back. And then the next step could be like trying to do just one dolphin turn into a turn, what means in the transition you do that movement getting back to your heels, and then for one turn you try to land on your tips, and then you can traverse again, take your time and do the same again to the other side. It's always important to do things like this on both sides. So these two short-term variations really help me with my objectives or my goals. I hope it's gonna help you as well. And don't give up on the first try. It's sometimes hard, but you'll do it. Have fun.
Doing short turns in off-piste terrain is a discipline in skiing which I really love. I like the way I like to ski the short turns in off-piste terrain. Really challenges me all the time from top to bottom. So to me, a really good powerful short turn in off-piste terrain includes early pressure point, also early edging. I want to try to have a narrow stance and a good upper body, a stable and balanced upper body. So when I go out and train my short turns in off-piste terrain, I really, or almost all the time, I'm skiing on a GS ski, on a 30-meter race ski. I do this because it's on the one hand a bit harder, the turning, so I have to move faster and have to work harder. On the other side, once I have that rhythm, it gives me a good platform where I can hold on and where I also can then find a good position in the middle of that long ski. Skills like the ankle movements I talked before are also really important in off-piste skiing, in doing short turns in off-piste terrain. Although beneath the movements, it's important, to find a good rhythm. And the rhythm really helps you to be stable, to be powerful. And one big skill for a good rhythm is the balance in your middle position. So without balance, without a good middle position, it's really hard to find a good rhythm. So the fight against the back leaning, the back seat, that's a really big thing in doing short turns in off-piste terrain. So now what I'm gonna do to hold that middle position, to find that balance, is that I, on the one hand, try really to be stable with the upper body. So I want to have a strong core. My arms, I want to control my arms. Then I want to have the timing right of my movements. So I always try to make sure that I come up forward after each turn. So that's really important. Then to fight back into that middle position. And what I'm also really looking for is that my shins. So when I go into the turn, when I build up the pressure, I try to have contact with the tongue of the boot. So my shins want to have the contact. That helps me to stay in that middle position. And also the initiation helps me to come back into a middle position. And here I really am looking forward to have a good shovel pressure. And I can reach this shovel pressure when I focus on having the weight early in the turn on the front part of my foot, on the toes of my foot. Also a point I would like to mention here is once it happened that you fall too far back and you can't come forward early enough, then really make sure that you change a little bit the rhythm and change the pressure points in your skiing. So that means do your turn a little bit longer, give yourself a little bit time that you, after the second or third turn, can come back into your balanced position. When I'm talking about finding good pressure points, that always means to me that I try to be really quick with building up pressure underneath my foot, underneath my length of the ski, and this really helps me to turn the skis faster, and afterwards also helps me to build up a good platform where I can get off the edge again. So the middle position is to me a position where I can be flexible, where I can adjust and where I can react to different things coming towards me. So if there is a little bump, if there are the snow changes, the middle position is always a position where I can adjust, where I can hold on and where I can react. So that's really important to me as well. Good, now I would like to explain a few drills concerning the balancing and the middle position. When I go out and do drills for training my middle position, I do that a lot without poles. So all the drills I'm going to show you now are without poles. So I just have my arms forward, or I do different moves with the arms. The first drill I like to do is on the groomers, and here I work a little bit with my stance. So I have my arms crossed, yeah, and I do 3 turns with a normal stance, with an open stance, and 3 turns with a closed stance. Yeah, that's a really good exercise just for training, on the one hand, the balance, yeah, because you're locked a little bit, so you really have to fight. You have to make sure that your upper body is strong. And then the variation of close and wider stance, that really helps you afterwards in the off-piste skiing, yeah, to react. If there is difficult snow, if there is harder snow, then there is always a little bit of a variation in your stance. So this is a really good drill just to get warm up and to get into that feeling of off-piste skiing. So on this level of doing high performance short turns in off-piste terrain, I always like to choose drills which really pushes you and which really brings you to the limit. So the next drill I do often is skiing with one ski. So I put one ski away, just ski with one ski and no poles. So I'd like to do short turns with one ski. The exercise with the arms is just to have the arms in front like this. Yeah, and then I try to do short turns. First I take a flat slope where it's easier to find that rhythm and to find a short radius. Afterwards, then I go into more steeper terrain and also there try to ski a rhythmical short radius and try to stay in that middle position. So when we are doing this drill with the one ski, it's really important, next to the good middle position is the movement of your ankle and knees again. So without movement you can't turn a ski, especially you can't turn a long GS ski. So next to the good middle position you need to make sure that you move enough. So this drill is also good for the movements too. Okay, another drill I'd like to show you has to do with speed. So again, you have no poles, you go into off-piste terrain, you choose a moderate off-piste terrain, and there you pick up speed before you're going into short turns. So that means I always telling my students, okay, 10 meters, we go straight, so in the schussing position, and then after 10 meters we start to do the turns. So that means, yeah, the speed is pretty high, so then we have to react and we have to really fight for that middle balance, and that's a really good training to improve your middle position. I know these drills I showed you before are really hard and really challenging. It's also for me always challenging to to do those drills in a good looking way. So don't care when you crash. Don't care when you're not looking good at the beginning. But the more you do those drills, the better you will get, and the better your off-piste short turns will get. Have fun, go out there and give your best.
Nadine, just start with a joke.
Yeah.
Like say the word Riley or something like that.
It's a good joke.
Riley McLaughlin.
Another element he told me that I really think is going to make a huge difference is, and I forgot what it is.
Again here, the Rumpf. I say, I'm missing the English word. So, yeah, you want to make sure. And fall to the inside. Yeah, or I No, that's enough.
Or let's do like baseball.
Hips and the shoulder level thing.
Go, Riley. I wouldn't go on that. It's your birthday. Go then.
Have been involved for the last 2 Interskis in St. Anton and Ushuaia. Yeah, what else should I say?
What's your favourite colour?
What's my favorite? The movements out of your ankle and knees, the timing, the rhythm, and also the building up of pressure just makes it easier, just takes it...
If that were true.
So, now I get it.
Hey guys, it says here that I should balance on my outside ski. I think I'm full of crap.